What if I told you that one woman's act of kindness almost destroyed humanity? On a regular day, in a bustling marketplace on Earth, something impossible happened. A young woman saw a small alien creature screaming in terror. Without thinking twice, she reached out and hugged the frightened child. That single touch changed everything. Governments around the world went silent. Military bases went on high alert. And somewhere in deep space, an entire alien empire was activated because of what she just did. Here's what they don't want you to know. That alien child wasn't just any creature. It was the hidden heir to the most powerful throne in the galaxy. The moment her arms wrapped around that child, ancient treaties broke. Rival alien civilizations mobilized for war. And humanity was caught right in the middle of an intergalactic conflict nobody saw coming. Today, we are uncovering the real story. We are breaking down how one simple hug triggered events that would reshape the entire cosmos. We are revealing what world leaders have been hiding. And we are exploring what this means for Earth's future. Let me show you exactly how this happened. The story begins on an ordinary Tuesday morning in a crowded marketplace in a major city. Thousands of people walked past vendor stalls, buying food, clothes, and everyday items. Nobody suspected that this day would become the most important day in human history. Sarah was a regular woman. She had a job she didn't love much. She had friends and family. She had dreams like everyone else. But something inside her was different. Sarah had always felt deeply connected to other living creatures. When she saw suffering, she couldn't ignore it. She had to help. As she walked through the marketplace, she heard something that made her stop cold. It was a sound she had never heard before. It was a scream, but not a human scream. It was high-pitched and filled with pure terror. The sound made her skin tingle. It made her heart race. Something was very wrong. Sarah pushed through the crowd, following the sound. People were pointing and gasping. Some were running away in fear. Others were pulling out their phones to record. But Sarah didn't care about any of that. She only cared about finding what was making that awful sound. Then she saw it. In the middle of the marketplace, surrounded by a circle of terrified people, was something that shouldn't exist. A small creature sat on the ground, trembling and screaming. It was no taller than a 3-year-old child. Its skin glowed with a soft green-blue color that seemed to emit light all by itself. Its eyes were massive and golden, like 2 glowing moons in a dark sky. Its body was thin and delicate, covered in what looked like tiny scales that sparkled under the sunlight. This was an alien. A real, actual alien. And it was suffering. Everyone around Sarah was frozen. Some people were recording videos. Others were backing away slowly. A few people were on their phones, probably calling the police or the military. But nobody was doing anything to help the creature. Sarah realized something in that moment. This alien child was completely alone. It was scared out of its mind. It was reaching out for help, and nobody was answering. Just like a human child would do, this creature needed comfort. It needed safety. It needed someone to care. Without hesitation, Sarah walked directly toward the alien child. People screamed at her to stop. They yelled that it was dangerous. They told her she would die. But Sarah couldn't hear any of that anymore. All she could hear was the creature's desperate cries. She got down on her knees. She moved slowly and carefully, just like she would approach a frightened animal. The alien child's golden eyes locked onto hers. For a moment, everything else in the world disappeared. It was just Sarah and this small, terrified creature. Sarah opened her arms wide. The alien child's scream became even louder, but this time something was different. This time, the scream sounded like a question. Like the creature was asking, "Can I trust you?" Sarah nodded slowly, keeping her arms open. And then, something incredible happened. The alien child moved toward her. It reached out its small, delicate hands, and Sarah pulled it close into a gentle embrace. The moment Sarah touched the alien child, the entire marketplace fell silent. All the noise stopped. All the screaming ended. It was like someone had pressed pause on the entire world. The creature stopped shaking. It stopped screaming. It just held on to Sarah, and Sarah held it back. Nobody knew what would happen next. Nobody could have predicted what this single act of kindness was about to unleash. In that frozen moment, as Sarah held the alien child in the middle of a crowded marketplace on Earth, something was happening far, far away. In the depths of space, on worlds humans had never seen, ancient alarms were going off. Governments were falling into chaos, and the most powerful beings in the entire galaxy were waking up from their sleep. All because a woman decided to show compassion to a creature she had never met before. What nobody realized in that marketplace was that Sarah wasn't just holding any alien child. She was holding royalty. She was holding the hidden heir to the throne of the most powerful empire that had ever existed. The child's name, according to what intelligence agencies would later discover, was Zephyr. Zephyr came from a race called the Valorian people. The Valorians had controlled more than 3,000 planets across the galaxy. They had technology that made human science look primitive. They had the power to move stars. They had the ability to create or destroy entire civilizations with a single command. But something had happened in the Valorian Empire. There had been a rebellion. There had been a coup. Zephyr's parents, the ruling emperor and empress, had been forced to flee. They had hidden their child on Earth. Of all places, they chose Earth because it was remote. It was underdeveloped. It was the last place anyone would ever think to look for galactic royalty. The plan was simple. Keep Zephyr hidden on Earth for 5 years. Then, when the rebellion was defeated and order was restored, they would return to bring their child home. It should have worked. The plan was foolproof. But something went wrong. The Valorian child had a special ability. Every Valorian child of royal blood carried a genetic marker. This marker could only be activated by one thing: physical contact with someone who shared a specific wavelength of compassion. It was rare. It happened maybe once every 1,000 years. The genetic scientists had explained it as a safety mechanism. If a Valorian child was truly lost and needed help, the marker would activate when touched by someone pure of heart. Sarah had that purity. She didn't know it. She had no idea that her act of kindness would trigger an intergalactic beacon. But the moment her skin touched Zephyr's skin, the beacon activated, and it broadcast a signal across the entire galaxy. That signal meant one thing: the hidden heir has been found. The signal traveled faster than light through space. It reached the Valorian homeworld in seconds. It reached the rebel faction that had staged the coup. It reached rival empires that had been waiting for any chance to invade Valorian space. It reached mercenary organizations that would kill for the reward being offered. And it reached the current emperor, Zephyr's uncle, who had taken the throne after the rebellion. When the emperor received that signal, he couldn't believe it. His brother's child was alive. The heir was on a remote planet called Earth, and someone had just activated the beacon. The emperor had two choices. He could welcome his nephew home and restore the rightful ruler to the throne, or he could eliminate the child and secure his own power forever. The emperor made his choice. He sent his most elite military fleet toward Earth. He sent assassination squads. He sent soldiers and weapons and technology designed to destroy everything in their path. And he sent a message across the galaxy to every other power that might be interested. Whoever captures or kills the Valorian heir will be rewarded beyond their wildest dreams. Within hours, multiple alien factions were moving. The Krell Dominion, sworn enemies of the Valorians, launched their fleet. The Nexus Collective, neutral traders who saw profit in chaos, sent their hunters. Even smaller civilizations, desperate to gain power, pointed their weapons toward Earth. Sarah had no idea any of this was happening. She was still in the marketplace, still holding the small alien child. The creature was now peaceful. It was resting its head against her shoulder. It seemed grateful. It seemed safe. But danger was racing through space toward the planet at impossible speeds. The United Nations was receiving signals. Military bases around the world were detecting massive energy signatures in space. Satellites were showing objects moving in impossible ways. Governments were panicking. Scientists were confused. And for the first time in human history, every nation on Earth realized they were not alone in the universe. And they were about to be invaded. All because one woman decided to hug scared alien child. Within 6 hours of the beacon activation, the first alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit. They didn't attack immediately. They simply appeared, massive and terrifying, blocking out the sun in several parts of the world. Governments declared martial law. People panicked. Military forces mobilized. And governments made a desperate decision. They had to find the alien child before the invaders did. The military found Sarah easily. She was still in the marketplace, now surrounded by scientists and soldiers. The alien child, Zephyr, was clinging to her. The more they tried to separate them, the more the child screamed. Finally, officials realized something important. The child trusted Sarah. Sarah was the only one the child would let near her. So they made a choice that would change everything. They brought Sarah and Zephyr to the United Nations headquarters. They assembled leaders from every country on Earth in one room. And they told Sarah the truth. This child is the heir to the most powerful empire in the galaxy, the UN Secretary General explained. By touching this child, you activated a beacon that has brought multiple hostile alien civilizations to our planet. We are on the brink of intergalactic war. Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing, but she knew it was true. She had felt something the moment she touched the child. She had felt ancient power. She had sensed something vast and cosmic and utterly beyond human understanding. The military generals wanted to give Zephyr to the invaders. They wanted to negotiate, to trade the child for Earth's safety. But Sarah refused. She looked into Zephyr's eyes and saw innocence. She saw fear. She saw a being who had done nothing wrong and didn't deserve to be used as a bargaining chip. There has to be another way, Sarah said. This child needs help. Not war. Not negotiation. Help. One of the generals laughed. You think compassion will stop an intergalactic invasion. This is beyond your understanding. Civilian. But Sarah was wrong about one thing. She wasn't beyond understanding. Neither were the other humans in that room. Because in that moment, something shifted. The aliens in orbit detected something they weren't expecting. They detected unity. They detected purpose. They detected millions of humans, from every nation, from every background, standing together. For the first time in galactic history, a species that had only just discovered space travel was facing extinction. But instead of falling apart, they were coming together. Weapons manufacturers from rival nations started sharing technology. Scientists from different countries worked together. Military forces coordinated strategies. And it was all because one woman had decided to help a frightened child. The messages started going out. Humans sent transmissions to the alien ships. They didn't beg for mercy. They didn't try to surrender. They simply told the truth. We are new to this galaxy, the message said. We don't have advanced weapons. We don't have fleets. But we have something more powerful than any of that. We have the ability to care for those who cannot care for themselves. We have decided that this child will not be harmed. We will defend this child with everything we have. And if you want the child, you will have to come through us. The message traveled to every ship in orbit. It was translated into languages that had existed for millions of years. It was heard by creatures that had conquered planets. And it made them pause. The Valorian child, held safely in Sarah's arms, sent out a signal of its own. It was a message in the ancient language of the Valorians. A message that said, "I am safe here. I am loved here. I will not leave." The invading forces received that message. And for the first time, they hesitated. They had expected to find a frightened, isolated child. Instead, they found a child that was protected by an entire species. They found a creature that had been shown more kindness in one day on Earth than it might have found in years among its own people. The choice before the galaxy suddenly became clear. Attack Earth and destroy the first species in the galaxy that had chosen compassion over fear. Or recognize that something new had been born. Word of what was happening on Earth spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Sarah and Zephyr weren't just news anymore. They were becoming a symbol. A symbol of what species could become if they chose to care for one another instead of fighting. The Valorian Emperor, watching from his throne on a distant world, made a calculation. His nephew was safe. His nephew was loved. And his nephew was changing the way the entire galaxy viewed power. Maybe, the Emperor began to think, power wasn't about force. Maybe it was about influence. Maybe it was about inspiring others to be better. He made a transmission. "Stand down," he ordered his fleet. "The heir is not our concern anymore. The heir has found something greater than an empire." The other invading forces saw the Emperor's fleet backing away. If the most powerful empire in the galaxy was standing down, what was the point of attacking? One by one, the alien ships in orbit began to move away. They didn't attack. They didn't invade. They simply left. But the Krell Dominion, the sworn enemies of the Valorians, received a different message. Here was their chance. With everyone backing away, they could attack an undefended planet and claim the heir for themselves. They plotted their approach. They armed their weapons. They prepared to attack. Sarah felt it before anyone else did. She felt Zephyr become tense. The child's golden eyes looked up at her, and Sarah saw fear return. "What's wrong?" she asked. The child pointed to the window. In the distance, where the other ships had been, new vessels appeared. These were different. These ships were black and jagged. They looked like weapons that had learned to fly. These were the Krell. The alarm sounded. Military forces scrambled. But Sarah did something unexpected. Instead of running, instead of hiding, she walked directly to the communications center. She demanded to send a message to the approaching fleet. "You can't do this," the military officials said. "You don't understand the Krell. They don't negotiate. They don't show mercy." "They've never met us," Sarah said. "They don't know what we're capable of." Sarah was put on a broadcast that reached every Krell ship approaching Earth. And she spoke to creatures she had never met, from a species she knew nothing about. But she spoke from her heart. "My name is Sarah," she began. "I'm just a regular human. I don't have power. I don't have weapons. I don't have anything that would impress you. But I have something that maybe you've never seen before. I have a child in my arms that belongs to an empire that has tried to destroy your people. And I love this child. Not because of what she is. Not because of what power she might have. But because she's alive. And she's scared. And she deserves to be loved." She held up Zephyr, so the cameras could see the child's golden eyes looking out at the Krell fleet. "You can attack this planet," Sarah continued. "You can destroy my city. You can kill me. But you will never destroy what started here today. Because you will always know that on a planet called Earth, species you've never heard of chose to protect child that wasn't their own. You will know that we chose love over fear. And that choice will follow you forever." There was silence. The Krell ships continued forward, but they were slowing down. And then, Something unexpected happened. The Krell commander responded. His voice was harsh and alien, translated through computers into human speech. "We have fought the Valorians for 10,000 years, he said. We have never known them to show mercy. We have never known them to care about the weak. But you are different. Perhaps your species has something worth protecting after all." The Krell ship stopped. They held their position, and they waited. What happened next changed the course of galactic history. The Krell commander requested a meeting with Earth's leaders. Not to fight, not to negotiate surrender, but to talk, to understand what had happened on Earth, to learn what this species called humanity was really capable of. The meeting happened in the United Nations headquarters. The Krell commander appeared as a hologram, a massive creature with scales that reflected light like metal. He was terrifying and beautiful at the same time. And when he spoke, his words changed everything. "For millennia, the galaxy has operated under one rule," he said. "The strong dominate the weak. The powerful take what they want. This is not cruelty. This is simply how the universe works. We have all believed this. But what I witnessed on your world, it challenges everything we know." Sarah stood in that room, still holding Zephyr. The child had fallen asleep against her shoulder, peaceful and safe. The Krell commander continued. "You are a species that has barely discovered space travel. You have no advanced weapons. You should be easy prey for any of us. Yet when the moment came, you did not scatter. You did not beg for mercy. Instead, you united. You chose to protect, being from a species that would kill you. Why?" Sarah realized the question was directed at her. "Because," she said simply, "love is stronger than fear." The Krell commander was silent for a long moment. Then he did something no one expected. He bowed, a gesture of respect from a warrior species that had never bowed to anyone. "Your species will be remembered," he said. "You will be the species that taught the galaxy something new." Within days, the UN received a message from the Valorian Emperor himself. He wanted to meet Sarah. He wanted to thank her personally for saving his nephew's life. But more importantly, he wanted to offer something to Earth. He wanted to offer alliance. He wanted to offer technology. He wanted to offer knowledge. The Valorians established an embassy on Earth. The Krell signed a peace treaty with the Valorian Empire. And slowly, the galaxy began to change. Species that had been at war for millions of years began to talk, to listen, to understand. Zephyr remained on Earth for one more year. The child grew stronger. The child learned about human kindness, human art, human music, human food. And when Zephyr finally returned to her people, she carried with her a message from Earth. A message that love was more powerful than conquest. Sarah became the first human ambassador to the galaxy. She traveled to alien worlds. She met creatures that defied imagination. She told them all the same story. The story of a marketplace, a frightened child, and a woman who decided that kindness was worth more than safety. The war that almost happened was prevented. Millions of lives were saved. And it all started because one woman saw suffering and chose to help. No weapons, no politics, no negotiation, just compassion. Years later, when Zephyr became the Empress of the Valorian Empire, she made a law that changed everything. She declared that across the entire galaxy, all species would work together. Not out of fear, not out of force, but out of the same principle Sarah had taught her. The principle that love is stronger than power. Earth was no longer a backward planet that nobody knew about. Earth became the symbol of hope, the place where a new kind of future was born. All because of one moment, in one marketplace, when a woman touched an alien child and gave the galaxy something it had never known before, a reason to hope. Here's what makes this story even more remarkable. according to historical records discovered years later. Sarah's act of kindness wasn't random. Ancient Valorian prophecies had predicted this exact moment. They had predicted that the heir would find safety not in power, but in compassion. They had predicted that a species from a backwater planet would teach the galaxy the most important lesson of all. Sarah never became famous in the traditional sense. She never sought power or wealth. She lived a quiet life, but every single being in the galaxy knew her name. She was the woman who stopped a war with a hug. She was the woman who proved that a species barely 100 years into space exploration could teach civilizations millions of years old. When Sarah finally passed away, her funeral was attended by representatives from over 10,000 species. The Valorian Empress herself came to mourn. And in that moment, the galaxy understood. The most powerful force in the universe wasn't weapons or technology or ancient magic. It was love. So here's what we learned today. One woman, one moment, one act of pure compassion changed the entire course of galactic history. She didn't have superpowers. She didn't have special training. She just had a heart that couldn't ignore suffering. And that was enough. The biggest takeaway: power isn't about domination. It's about inspiration. When we choose kindness, we inspire others to do the same. Sarah inspired an alien child. That child inspired her people. And eventually, an entire galaxy learned to choose love over fear. This story teaches us something we desperately need right now. In our own world, we are divided. We are afraid of people who are different. We are afraid of the unknown. But Sarah shows us there's another way. There's always another way. If this story opened your eyes to what humanity is capable of, please hit that like button. Subscribe to stay updated on more incredible FYSCIFI stories that will change how you see our species. And comment below, what would you have done in Sarah's situation? Would you have approached the alien child, or would you have run away? But here's my bigger invitation to you. This story is just the beginning. I've uncovered deeper stories about what happened after Sarah's contact with the Valorians. I found classified documents about how Earth became a galactic powerhouse not through weapons, but through wisdom. And I'm creating an exclusive course where I break down the real science behind why compassion might be humanity's greatest evolutionary advantage. Join my newsletter using the link in the description, and you'll get the first 3 lessons for free. You'll discover the hidden connection between human empathy and cosmic survival. You'll learn what scientists are saying about why Earth is special. And hey, if you want to dive even deeper into this universe, watch the next video where we explore what happened after the Valorian embassy opened on Earth. The real story. It's even more incredible. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being human.